A judge ordered the removal of former President Donald Trump's lawyer from the courtroom following conduct described as unacceptable. The incident created heightened tension inside the court, marked by raised voices and a sudden decision that disrupted proceedings. The situation raised questions about whether the hearing had escalated beyond control. Further details are expected as the case continues.
Federal Judge Arthur Brennan just ejected Trump's lead defense attorney from his courtroom. Not a warning, not a fine, complete removal by U.S. Marshals after what witnesses are calling the most explosive courtroom confrontation in modern American legal history. This isn't some routine procedural dispute or minor contempt citation. This is a sitting federal judge publicly declaring that a former president's legal team has crossed a line so egregious that the attorney must be physically escorted from the building. When federal judges start calling marshals to remove counsel in the middle of pretrial proceedings, you know something catastrophic has just shattered the boundaries of normal legal practice. Hit that subscribe button right now, because you won't want to miss any of the videos I release. So, what set off this unprecedented meltdown? According to multiple reporters inside the courtroom on January 17th, defense attorney Emil Bove III refused a direct judicial order to answer whether his client would comply with document production deadlines. Not once, not twice, 7 consecutive times he deflected, prompting Judge Brennan to issue the warning that would set everything in motion. This isn't just another contentious hearing or standard legal sparring. Members of the legal community are openly stating this represents a fundamental breakdown in the relationship between the bench and the former president's defense team. And believe me, when a federal judge reaches this breaking point, you know something enormous has just detonated in that courtroom. Here's the full picture of what's been unfolding. Tensions in Judge Brennan's courtroom have been simmering for months, fueled by repeated discovery violations, missed deadlines, and what prosecutors described in court filings as a deliberate strategy of obstruction through litigation. The friction intensified dramatically following a December 4th hearing, where the defense team filed emergency motions at 11:47 p.m., just 13 minutes before a midnight deadline, containing what the judge later called materially misleading representations about document availability. But everything escalated on January 17th when Judge Brennan convened an emergency status conference after receiving a sealed memorandum from the prosecution alleging the defense had provided contradictory statements about the existence of certain communications. The memorandum, dated January 14th, reportedly documents at least 4 instances where defense representations to the court differed substantially from evidence obtained through independent subpoenas. This wasn't about aggressive advocacy or zealous representation within bounds. It was about whether the court could trust anything the defense team was telling it. Smash that like button if this is making sense so far. Here's where it really gets serious. When Judge Brennan reviewed the discrepancies in his chambers that morning, sources say he recognized immediately that the pattern couldn't be explained by honest mistake or miscommunication. And let's be honest for a moment. Federal judges don't remove attorneys from their courtrooms over routine disputes. They don't call marshals for typical discovery disagreements. They reach this point only when they believe the integrity of the proceedings themselves is under direct assault. Here's what multiple sources inside the courtroom say happened next. On January 17th at approximately 10 to 23 a.m. Eastern, Judge Brennan entered the courtroom with what observers described as an unusually stern demeanor. The gallery included 37 journalists from major outlets, 12 sketch artists, and approximately 60 members of the public who had lined up since 4 a.m. for the limited seating. Sources told Reuters that the judge began by reading a prepared statement outlining 7 specific instances of alleged misrepresentation. His voice measured but unmistakably cold. Meanwhile, the defense team appeared visibly unsettled. Lead attorney Emil Bove III reportedly shuffled papers while avoiding direct eye contact with the bench. By the 40-minute mark, Judge Brennan had transitioned from reading his statement to direct questioning, and that's when the confrontation truly began. The judge's first question was deceptively simple. "Mr. Bove," the judge began, his tone carrying an edge that silenced every whisper in the gallery, "I am going to ask you directly, and I expect a direct answer. Will your client comply with the January 31st document production deadline as currently ordered?" Bove paused. "Your Honor," he replied, "we have filed a motion for reconsideration that addresses the timeline concerns, and..." "That is not an answer," Judge Brennan cut in sharply. Yes or no? Will you comply? The exchange that followed would become the defining moment of the hearing. Both
The court session concluded amid heightened tension, leaving key questions about the impact of the incident on the case proceedings. Further developments are expected in the coming days.